What's going on, everybody? This is Big G from G Riders. Welcome to another episode of Talking Rides. I'm with my friend Mike here. And we're getting ready to talk about his car. What kind of car you got here?
So this is a 1986 Mazda Rx-7. A lot of enthusiasts just call it the FC, which is the name of its chassis code. So they made this car from 1986 to 1991.
Okay.
And this is the kind of the earlier generation of it, the 86 to 88 style. It's got a little bit more 80s 80s feel to it.
Oh yeah, definitely with the pop-up headlights.
It's a really fun car to drive. It's honestly the closest thing I could compare it to would probably be like, you know, Subaru BRZ or like a Toyota FRS. It's not a lot of power, but it's got that really, you know, good handling, just really intuitive feel to it. Oh,
yep. I do like the size of it. It's probably about the size of those smaller cars nowadays. So currently, right now, how much power is it making?
So this car came stock with 145 horsepower. It's got a header back racing beat exhaust, so no catalytic converters or anything like that.
Nice.
I haven't had it dynoed since putting that on, but just from everything else I've read, it's probably putting down around 155 to 160 at the engine.
Okay, that's not bad. Wow, it's not bad. How much does this car weigh?
It only weighs 2,600 pounds.
Okay.
It's really light.
Okay, that's good. You can't have 155 horsepower and have a car weigh like 3,500 pounds.
Not at all. No, I mean, it keeps up with a lot of cars, you know, for the most part. You know, and that's just due to the light weight. It doesn't have a lot of power, but you're able to use it all.
Okay. So did you add anything to it or any like extra factory options on here?
The car is pretty much stock. It came with a few factory extras.
Okay.
It has it's a sport package model.
Okay.
So it has, it's set up with 5-lug hubs, wheels. And with that, you get upgraded brakes and suspension from the turbo model.
Oh, nice.
And the aero kit, which is kind of the front splitter, spoiler, and it also has a little under tray under the engine that reduces drag.
Okay.
So it's a pretty stiff car. I mean, not to the point where it's uncomfortable, but you know, it handles real nice thanks to the improved suspension on it.
Nice.
The car is actually pretty much the way it came from the dealership, believe it or not.
That's always good to see.
Even those wheels, the guy got them as an extra from the dealership.
Okay.
Back in '86 when it was new.
All right, let's take a look at the interior. Wow, that's really, really clean for a car this old.
Yeah, the car has seat covers on it right now.
Okay.
As far as I know, it hasn't ever been sat in without any seat covers.
Nice.
So they're pretty pristine under there.
So would you think about doing something a little more modern for your seats?
It's actually something I considered. Something that's you know, fits a guy my height. I've kind of wanting to do some racing seats. Either some Corbos or Brides seem pretty popular for these cars.
So typically, yeah, I definitely think that racing seats would be really cool for this car. Because yeah, I mean, this like, so I'm sure the material is about the same as the seat covers that it covers here, but I think just to make this car even more perfect than it is, adding that it'd be a real good look. Is that a sunroof?
It is, yeah.
Does it actually work?
It does. It's a little bit slow at the moment, as I haven't cleaned it out from the winter. It gets a little stuff in the tracks.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it works, and it's kind of that spoiler style one.
Oh, yeah.
So it'll pop up at an angle, then slide back.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of trick.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of those type, but I understand for this size of the car why it makes sense. Let's see how this thing sounds. All right, time to hop in here and let's go for a ride. All right, Mike, out of all cars you could have bought, why'd you buy this one?
I bought it because it was different. You know, I saw an ad for it. You know, my last car, I had a Chevy Cobalt. It was a good car and all.
Yeah.
It was fun to drive, honestly. People give those cars way more shit than they deserve.
Yeah.
But it ended up getting totaled. Some kid ran a stop sign and T-boned it.
Ooh.
So I had to get something else, and, you know, I'm cruising, you know, Craigslist, and I see this. You know, it's got the gold wheels and the pop-up lights, and I'm like, wow, this is kind of retro.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I just kind of fell in love with the way it looked. You know, and then I found out about rotary engine cars. You know, and I was like, wow, this really is different. I'm, you know, intrigued.
Nice.
So I went and, you know, test drove it, made the guy an offer, and it ended up working out.
Nice.
I've had it for 3 years now, so I've owned it longer than any other vehicle that I've had so far.
Wow. And how do you like it?
It's great. You know, it doesn't have a ton of power. You know, it's not going to win any drag races with muscle cars.
Oh, yeah.
But there's just something about it. You know, it's so intuitive. You know, the way the steering feels. You know, the throttle, the gear shift. It just... It all feels like a sports car should.
Yeah.
You know, and it's from a time where, you know, there's no electronic driving aids or nothing like that. So you get the full, you know, visceral experience.
Yes.
And it revs to 8,000 RPM. So
Oh, yeah.
that.
That's really cool. So how big is the engine in this car?
It's only 1.3 liters.
Oh, wow.
It's very,
tiny.
very compact. The rotary engines, though, they honestly have more in common than, you know, a two-stroke piece of lawn equipment than, you know, anything else. You know, it doesn't have any pistons. You know, like a V8's got ones that kind of go in a V shape, you know, when they're pumping. But these don't have pistons. It's got like a triangle that kind of both spins and oscillates on the axis of the crankshaft.
Yeah.
So everything's spinning, you know, in one line. So it's super smooth power delivery, you know, all the way up until red line.
Nice.
That's why they have the buzzer on here, because it doesn't really feel any different when you hit red line.
Oh, yeah.
They got to give you a little thing to
tell you that's where you are.
Yeah, because I mean, because piston engines, they'll vibrate a lot. Like if you're getting to red line, you know it. Whereas with these, it could just rev to the moon and you wouldn't know a difference.
Oh, yeah. Are there any other cars that you like?
Man, there's way too many cars that I like.
So if you're gonna say arbitrary, if you're gonna spend $40,000 on a car right now, what would you buy it? And it has to be new.
Oh man, there's a lot of good stuff on the market right now. Like, you know, in the early mid 2000s, we didn't have a lot of good sports cars to pick from.
Not at all.
But you know, now we've got stuff like the FRS. You know, there's always been the Miata. I love the Miata.
Yeah, those are cool little cars.
I mean, and if it has to be new, gosh. I mean, there's a lot to choose from. It's really hard to say.
So, let's start here. One of my favorite car classes, a hot hatch.
Oh, man. Well, my dad has a Ford Focus ST.
Okay.
And I gotta say, that car is a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
It's super torquey. I mean, it handles like a go-kart.
Left at this junction up here.
That would honestly be a solid pick.
Nice. No Focus RS?
You know, I don't know if those are going to be under 40 grand. If they are, then sign me up.
Because I think they start at 35, but I mean, of course, like with the car being new, there's going to be severe dealer markups on it.
I mean, if I could get one for 40 grand, yeah, an RS, I'd be down for that. I mean, there's talk about the Mazda Speed 3 coming back with all-wheel drive.
Yeah,
that's something I'd be down with too.
Yeah, I haven't seen much on that though, but you know, now the new CX-9's out, and it has the new turbo motor, so you got to know they're working on the Speed 3 finally.
I mean, Mazda's been doing a lot of stuff lately. You know, they were kind of on the back burner for a lot of years, but
yeah.
I mean, they're eating everyone's lunch when it comes to the compact SUV market.
Yeah.
I mean, the CX-5 is just selling like hotcakes.
Yeah.
So they're able to put a little money into their sports car R&D now.
Yeah, for sure. Like every single Mazdas are so good looking now. It's crazy how good looking they are. Like a guy that I work with, he has a brand new Mazda 3 with a 2.5, and he was telling me how quick it is and how efficient it is. Their Mazda has came so far from where they used to be.
They have, they were always that car company that, they just gave their cars a little extra kind of connection.
Yeah.
It's really hard to describe it. It sounds a little cliche. But I mean, a lot of cars you might drive nowadays, like your average Camry or Prius or whatever,
it's boring.
They're kind of numb.
Yeah,
they're great cars. Don't get me wrong. Statistic wise.
Yeah.
But they just don't have a lot of soul.
Nope, they don't.
But you drive a car like even the Mazda 6. They're mid-size sedan.
Yeah.
And the steering, the brakes, it's all. You're like, wow, this is kind of fun.
Yeah.
I'm driving a mid-size sedan. Like, I shouldn't be having fun in this.
Exactly.
And that's something they've always, that's been their pedigree since, the 70s.
Uh-huh.
They've always been that manufacturer that's, maybe not always had the most reliable cars, but they just make you feel a certain way.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of reliability, how reliable is this car? How's it been for you?
This car has actually been surprisingly reliable. A lot of people rag on the rotary engines, say, they break down all the time, you got to rebuild them. Honestly, the engine has been one of the most reliable parts on this car.
Wow.
I had to replace one of the rear shock absorbers.
Uh-huh.
Let's see, what else have I had to do? Battery, typical standard maintenance.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've just been changing the oil in it, and it's been running solid. I mean, you can still run it full throttle, and it'll run just like it did when it was new.
Nice.
It's really just all the other things on an old car like this.
Mm-hmm.
You start having other systems that wear out, little electrical connections, maybe a dash light stops working, or your AC doesn't blow super cold anymore.
Yeah.
It's really just the small stuff like that. But the core aspects of it, they've been rock solid.
Nice. All right, Mike, you talk about how much you love this car. What are some things that you don't like about it?
Well, there's plenty of them. Fuel efficiency, for one. It really, really likes to drink. So around town, just kind of combined, it only gets about 14, 15 miles to the gallon.
Oh, God.
It's pretty bad.
Even when you're nice to it?
Even when you're nice. Which is a double-edged sword. It means you can drive it like a complete, doofus.
Yeah.
And, your fuel efficiency is not really going to change. You can have fun with it.
Yeah.
That's one of the upsides. The downside is if you're just driving like a normal person trying not to get a ticket, you're still not going to have very good fuel efficiency.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of the biggest drawbacks about it. It doesn't have a lot of torque. You got to rev it to get power.
Oh, yeah.
Which, in a racing application, which is where these engines really shone, it's where Mazda built the rotary legend, winning the 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Yeah.
They're still the only Japanese car company to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these engines make great power when they're spun up. But when you're around town, stop and go, low RPM, you need torque.
Yeah.
You need some Lance Armstrong legs to push those pedals.
Oh, yeah.
Is the way I like to say to people. Once you're pedaling really fast, it doesn't feel so bad. But
Yeah.
You come to a stop on your bike, and you're in a tall gear, and you try to go, and you're like, crap, got nothing, and you fall over. That's what having no torque feels like.
Yeah.
So it's in those scenarios where it is lacking a bit, but honestly, it makes up for it in other ways that just has me hooked. And it revs to 8,000 RPM, so
Oh,
there's
yeah.
that.
That's really cool.